Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Missoula. I am your host, Scott Ramp, here to usher you into the weekend. It is December 1st. It is the first day in December. Now is the time for your Christmas stuff, folks. No, I'm just kidding. I hope you had a wonderful week. Had a great time with my family during Thanksgiving and the additional time off from here at the library. So if you're interested in learning more about my Thanksgiving, no, just kidding, about like the open hours at the public library, you go to MissoulaPublicLibrary.org, and you can go to MCAT.org to learn more about MCAT and what we do here for the public, besides the government meetings, all these lecture series and more. And speaking of which, I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to jump right into your city council report. We're going to start off with our new mayor, Andrea Davis. I mean, we didn't get the video of their press conference of their basically handing the mantle over to Andrea. So we would start this kicking off with the first meeting in her career as the mayor of Missoula. And so without further ado, here is a quote of her thanking her constituents for the votes.
I just want to say thank you for bearing with me on my my first council meeting as the presiding officer. Might be some bumps here and there, but you know, it'll get smoother. It'll get smoother. I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Dale Bickle and the council members here for making it a nice soft start. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was very kind. Boy, I have to start out my comments by congratulating Miss Marty Rabine, Legislative Services Director and City Clerk, for 22 years of work that I have done to build affordable homes and bring items in front of this body. I have worked with Miss Rabine. And so this being my first council meeting and her last is, you know, somewhat poetic. And so I just want to wish you the best, Marty. I wish that we would have had a chance to work more closely together in this role, but we're wishing you the very best.
Of course, Marty Rabine is the city clerk who retired just this last week for over 30 years of service and many mayors that she's worked under through as well. So here is Mike Nugent, mayoral candidate, also reflecting on Andrea Davis as the mayor.
First of all, I want to say congratulations and welcome. I'm looking forward to this kind of new era in Missoula. And I think that as we've talked on council and as we've all kind of gotten individual opportunities to speak with you, I think we're all excited to just roll up our sleeves and have a couple of years of just trying to tackle some of the challenges we all have head on. And I think that Missoula is kind of excited for that as well. And, you know, I've said it many times that I look forward to kind of rolling up our sleeves and working on those together. And I generally mean it. I also think that now that I have the microphone and you don't, I want to find a way to turn your face red because you did that to me last week. But you'll find that that's actually very easy to do in this room, more so than I might like to admit. So anyway, I would just kind of echo right back at you the nice things that you said last week. And I genuinely am looking forward to working with you to make Missoula a better place.
Okay, and so the bulk of the official, more of the city council meeting had to do with the Ivy/Franklin new sidewalk. And a big chunk of this had to do with the fact that a lot of people are on a fixed income. And part of this is that the city is looking, William Fleischman talks about a trial project and a proposed sidewalk in his neighborhood and how he feels about it.
When I was first here, John was here, and he pulled the plug on this when it was $34,000 to us in this project on Ivy and Franklin. Thank God. It's now $9,000. Our retirement savings is dissolving like sugar in the rain, especially with the help of Republicans in Helena. Our property taxes went way up. I've talked to people online that tell me they will never vote for another tax ever again. So the Republicans got their way. They have people in their pocket now because they convinced them by this subterfuge of a property tax local government is bad. It's not bad. Local government does good things. It's the Republicans in Helena that are bad.
Okay, so definitely some shots fired over at the people in Helena, because that was one of the biggest talking points that the city was talking about over the last year or so after the legislation session, was the overall idea that they didn't really fix the tax system in place in the state of Montana, because it was kind of based off of the old models of, big industry, manufacturing, all that kind of stuff as a great tax revenue for a lot of cities. And now that Missoula is very much like a tourist kind of town, there's a lot of revenue that's not really being tapped into besides the Tourism Business Improvement District, which basically goes on to promote more tourism, but a lot of that money doesn't go into roads and such. So that was part of it going back and further. But the main part of this is that the city, in terms of how they've been dealing with new projects in terms of putting in sidewalks, this also reminds me of, I'll talk a little bit more about Eaton Street, because they also had this deal where the city for this project would pay 84% of this project, while homeowners would take on the rest, which is what he came up with the $9,000 figure for that site. Sandra Vasica responds to the comment, and she tends to be anti-tax, and this is what she had to say.
I have always been pro sidewalk. However, last week, or I guess not last week, 2 weeks ago, I did mention how people staying in their homes is way more important to me than having sidewalks available. And with just the comments that were this evening talking about how frustrating and concerning it is for them to stay in their homes, just looking at one property that is owing $9,000 for this improvement on top of their regular taxes. I just looked at that actual property taxes, and from 2018 to 2023, it went up 54%. That is insane. That is a $411 a month payment. That's a car payment. And these are people on actual fixed incomes. These are people that work their entire lives to live in their home. And now, because the city forcibly takes their tax dollars and spends it however we wish, they might have to sell their home. And I do not appreciate that. I do not agree with it. And therefore, I will be voting no on this.
And so part of this program that they initialized not so long ago was the fact that they can use TIF / development funding, MRA, that kind of stuff to help leverage some of this additional funding. 10-15 years ago, they would do something that's called an SID, Special Improvement District, in which the neighborhood as a whole would pay for the installation of sidewalks, basic infrastructure for that kind of stuff as well. Even the water districts, as they're called now, they're more about the piping and the sewage and all that kind of stuff that aren't directly underneath your property line will be repaired and fixed, but main replacements are at the cost of the owner, in which they they have payment plans for like 20 years or so. But regardless of that, Eaton Street was one of the last in my memory to use the same leverage funds to install sidewalks, which also had similar model. Frankly, from my own experience living in an area where sidewalks have basically kind of got to the point where they're kind of old and they need to be replaced or updated. That cost ended up being upwards of $50,000 for just a half a city block in my neighborhood area. And so that's just, it's not necessarily, it's great for when you install sidewalks, but then the maintenance and the future of the sidewalks are basically on the landowners, which is kind of messed up if you really think about it. And it's kind of weird how the city just doesn't have this idea where they can really loop up roads and sidewalks together and figure out a better plan for that moving forward. But Stacey Anderson talks a little bit more about some of the older days in which they would use the neighborhoods to pay for it 100%.
We have really highlighted the fact that we have been addressing some of the concerns brought up, because 10 years ago, it was a very different formula that put much more onus on the homeowner. In many cases, the homeowners were responsible for 100% of the improvements. And now we have gotten to the point where there's a formula that caps out at $9,000. And with even understanding that for many, that is a bill that you wouldn't be able to come up with the money. We have put in financing options where you can just, low to zero interest over the course of many years, or you can defer payment completely until the sale of your home. So there are many options that we are putting in place to address some of the concerns that have been addressed over the time of kind of working with this formula.
So yeah, there's a lot of programs in place that kind of be inserted in this, like kind of like a grandfathered in thing where if you have your house there and it was there before the sidewalk was built, essentially you can kind of hold off paying for that sidewalk indefinitely. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. But the old school ways was the special improvement district, and that meant that this also reminds me of the Hillview Way project that happened a couple years ago, in which they wanted to improve the safety of the Hillview Way street, and they proposed a special improvement district for this particular thing. Landowners, these are people who don't actually own parcels. Who own just the land and not the actual who have buildings built on these properties. They sued, and they got this deal where if they plan to develop on this, they would have to pay the taxes on the Hillview Way special improvement area. So that was the deal that they struck, because in their mind, they just own the land. They don't really care if they develop their own land that they own. So that was kind of like how they moved about doing that as well. So there's definitely a lot of options there. And there's definitely a lot of money from federal funds and stuff like that. But like anything, and what the city of Missoula has been doing because of all these additional grants that are available with the federal grants, the Biden's Build Back Better, and it's mostly about putting your money where your mouth is. And so you have to do a partial funding to get that additional funding from the federal / Missoula and beyond. So there's a lot of benefits to that, but when you start crunching the numbers and start saying like, not many people actually have like $1,000 or $2,000 just for this or that. It's usually like they have to basically accrue debt. Imagine like if your car breaks down, do you have $1,000 just offhand to pay off any kind of costs like that? That's a question. Who knows? It's a lot of things like that. But during the public hearing, in light of recent legislation changes, the city's local records and information governance laws need to be updated to conform with the new law bill, Senate Bill 374. This prior city law provided the appointment of records coordinators to operationalize this program. That's totally made up. But in alignment with best practices, the revisions proposed in this ordinance place responsibility for carrying out records and information and governance at the highest level in the city organization with the department chief. So this is just a kind of across the board communities. This is part of a state legislature law. Marty Rabine, city clerk, talks about the update and how the city disposes of records.
Records disposal to be approved by a city officer once the record has met its retention requirements. And so I've already talked about the schedules. Let's see. And then finally, it enables modern digital records management. It adds the concept of information governance and its application to information systems the city acquires to create, receive, manage, and store information and records. And it positions the city to adapt to emerging technologies and best practices while ensuring our records and information are retained as long as they're required and disposed when the retention period has been met.
All right, and so that's just an item that has to be approved, and yeah, it's just one of those things that just clean up and updating some of the things moving forward. These are just many of the ways the state has the city of Missoula update many of their policies and practices to simplify and use language that reflects clarity. This is a state law update, and the city had to do this before the new year. Most changes kind of go into effect after 30 days, and so that's why they kind of like putting this out this week as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Marshall Mountain again. County and city, this is a big deal because this is going to be a county-owned property, and then the city's going to run it before they transition it over to the county as a whole. The mountain is not inside the city limits, and which requires this documentation. So Donna Glockler, Parks and Rec, talks about plans for this particular area, and this is what she had to say. And she's the Parks and Recreation Director.
Actually, in the open space bond, we allowed for first line of work to make the area safe, provide water and a restroom, and also to bring what we call trails to the trailhead, because there may be some question of how does maintenance look going forward. We do anticipate, now that it's actually publicly owned, significant more use, and being a necessity to bring those trails to the ground, or to the trailhead, to the parking lot. to create higher levels of accessibility. For example, one of the first trails on deck will be what we call an easy up, so that all users can use all the trails. And also important will be a lower trail around the base. That'll include universal accessibility. So the idea is to build this to hand cycling and beginner level, plus beginner level with options.
All right, so as you can kind of see here, if I kind of wiggle my cursor right here, that's kind of like the lodge, and that's one of the things that they necessarily cannot save, just because, you know, after years wear and tear, not maintenance on the building, not to mention like it's kind of been in limbo for umpteen years. And then the pandemic really saw a lot of benefits from how the city basically used this to lease the property from the Two Dogs River, whatever organization owned it before the city and county used the open space bond money to acquire this land. It's pretty big. It's a pretty big chunk of land. It was like about 68 acres, very mountainous, a lot of stuff. Safety and accessibility is the main goal of getting these areas ready to use to space fully, unlike how a lot of the buildings need renovations or be torn down for safety. This was a very short meeting since the city has been talking about this, in my opinion, ad nauseum. Donna Gockler talks about the management plans, and this is where it gets kind of funky when it goes a little bit deeper into like how the city kind of runs it, and then the county, it will run it at a certain point. So here's Donna Gockler.
Process, assuming or hoping that we get these interlocal agreements approved, and then the county staff get the similar documents approved on the county side. So obviously, both city and county need to approve this interlocal so that county staff can take action. Their action will be to hire a qualified park supervisor, and I can let Chet or Juniper address this, but I'm imagining something akin to like a state park manager who has some ability to manage for recreation programs and permitting, as well as the actual maintenance and operations. And then also the budget would include funds for them to manage 200 and 300 accounts, so services, supplies, materials. City will continue to manage. That is our contribution through fiscal year 24, and we'll also help with the transition. We'll be doing the bulk of the permitting. Our goal in this case is to have a seamless transition so that the end user, the end user seldom cares about whose land they're on or what boundaries or what permits. They just want to know that things are safe and they're being taken care of and that somebody's doing it. And we're doing our best to make sure that's as seamless as possible between city and county staff.
Yeah, and you know, one good example of like city and county kind of working together is MCAT in the public library. MCAT is regulated by the city of Missoula, while at the same time our funding is through a subscription fee, so people who have Charter Spectrum Cable basically pay for MCAT's operations, MEGs, and the continued efforts to show city council meetings for the masses. So that's one of the kind of like interlocal agreements, a lot of things happening there. But it is weird acquisition because the city wanted it after using it, but it is only out of their jurisdiction, and the county will take full control of Marshall Mountain by 2024. Donna Clocker's position covers city parks, and so far in case of county parks, I actually had to look this up, county parks covers 84 individual parks, city parks is 22, and that's Missoula Parks and Rec that covered that part, while the county covers the rest. And county has a tendency to be more open space, bond type stuff. They do have some folks there where they have like the managers that kind of manage these areas, but it's when you get further out into the county, you have less staffing and more area, and that tends to be the trend even when it comes to like city police, sheriff's office, and then it's even wider when it comes to the state troopers. So public safety and health, we're going to jump right into this. Sanitation station at Johnson Street Shelter to go up to code for their temporary shelter to be a year-long shelter, and as an emergency winter shelter, that was basically, it's like, okay, it's basically a building that's warm to keep people warm, and now that it's becoming more of a year-long shelter, health and safety and the health department were just like, okay, we got to make sure this is up to code, so then there's some kind of washing stations and more. So Ellen Buchanan, Missoula Redevelopment Agency Director, talks about the redevelopment and a little bit more about this topic as well.
Looked at putting facilities inside the existing building, and it was obvious very quickly that this was not a practical or an economical solution for a whole lot of reasons. Mainly the building's not equipped for that. It would have had to have been sprinkled, so you're not only having to bring in sanitary facilities, you're having to sprinkle the area. and it was extremely expensive. So the second idea that was looked at was construction of a metal building, which would then have toilet and sink facilities and shower facilities installed in that. That was about a $1.3 million project for a temporary facility. We also examined the idea of bringing in portable trailer units. You may have seen them at large gatherings, festivals, and things like that, that can bring in sinks, toilets, showers, etc. The challenge with that is it's more economical than the metal building with the sanitary facilities, but the longevity of those trailer units is not such that it's suitable for the intensity of use that it would get at the shelter.
All right, and so there's just a lot of like trying to figure things out and try to understand this. And a big chunk of this is that so far they raised in private donations only. She also mentioned that there's a lot of community members and private donors who are very generous with this $300,000 to help offset some of the costs with smaller cost-effective structures that would provide those washing stations. All of these can be loaded on a flatbed and be transferred, hence killing two birds with one stone with the idea of having a more permanent structure while also being completely portable. The portable washing services for future shelters. This would also make it easier to move for a site later down the line, because that's one big thing that this area in the Johnson Street shelter is that it's very embedded into the Southgate Mall, Franklin to the Fort, Railroad Street kind of, no, not Railroad Street, but those kind of neighborhoods where it's like really embedded in some of those neighborhoods. And there's a lot of concerned citizens and business owners in that area who don't want to kind of see it that close. And so one of the things that they're trying to do is like, okay, the shelter can be open for another time, but it has to be on a temporary basis. Even though it's going to be more into that yearly kind of thing, there's that big push to get it to be this kind of deal moving forward. So Alan talks about the community involvement and kind of reflects on that too.
You know, the effort that the MEP is making with the private donations really gives the community the opportunity to participate in trying to address a problem that affects the entire community and allows, you know, Missoula to be the compassionate place that we strive to be.
All right, and I'm going to end it right there. And so for, you know, like for all intents and purposes, this is just kind of like March will be kind of like these deadlines. They're going to get approval hopefully on Monday and then move forward with getting their groundwork starting after the green light through MRA. Actually, it's going to go through so MRA is going to be the ones that make the decision, which will be happening today, in which they have the MRA meeting. So, you know, we had a fairly thick city council this week leading into the December month of approving construction slash development bids for the upcoming spring that has streets and buildings built and slash renewed for basic infrastructure in new and old projects. Couple meetings weren't uploaded in time for me to watch and kind of pick up from land use and planning and public works, but if you want to learn more information, you can go to ci.missoula.mt.us. It is a wonderful website for folks looking to find out what's going on within the city of Missoula. I use this website all the time to look up stuff, even report potholes, because a lot of times, you know, a lot of city staff and folks don't necessarily drive over the potholes that you drive over. So you can go to the city's website and report a pothole. It's as simple as that. And that seems to be a kind of like, it's one of the easiest and one of the cheapest, the chip and seal project, which is a great resource, which basically reutilizes recycled asphalt and plugs in these holes, and it helps for sure. So it's something that you should definitely look into if you're doing that kind of stuff. I've said this many times before, but it definitely bears repeating. So like I said, ci.missoula.mt.us. Up next, we have some promos that are going to be promoting all of the programs on MCAT. And then when I come back, we're going to talk about some movies.
I'm old, and I called my insurance guy to check on Medicare. Hey, you know, if I'm on the best plan, well, it's Toby Harrison?
Hansen?
Hansen?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And,
A sponsor of German Fest? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what,
Yeah.
and I said, I left him a message, but I just wanted to make sure. Then he called me back, and I said, first off, I heard your name as a sponsor for German Fest,
Yeah.
and I want you to know how much we appreciate it.
Yeah,
And he
thank
was
you.
like, wow, yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I know in my youth I wouldn't have taken the time to do it.
Yeah.
And that's a common thing. But Zalotti had got, I don't know if he even got permission, because do you need permission to make something better? I guess you do. But Zalotti, Alexander, Rachmaninoff's 10-year-old cousin, took out the notes that he thought were superfluous. Do you all know the meaning of superfluous? And do I? And so instead of, it's this.
I would return to that every morning just as a practice, just as something to try, because it was something I could keep doing. So in a ritualized fashion, I could return to that. And a question that emerged for me is how, instead of, when thinking about change processes, especially in the social justice sense, I guess, often there's a tendency to sort of stand outside the system and think of change from that position outside of things, like from this exterior gaze looking around. And I was trying to think through the shape of what it is to consider change from something which you are deeply within, as we are all within systems.
Senate Bill 382, which Aaron mentioned, has some options for doing just that, and the city is going to have to select between those options. There's 5 they have to pick, but that's fine. But we may want the whole list. We may want more than the list. We may want a subset of the list. Who knows? We're going to end up looking at doing that after we've really crafted a common vision here in Missoula, which is the next process in the Our Missoula process.
Hey guys, welcome back. Let's talk about some movies that are coming out this weekend. It is kicking things off with a reboot of a 70-year-old IP property, Godzilla. This movie is called Godzilla -1, where it's basically post-World Japan. It's basically Gojira, which is the original Japanese movie that came out, and then it was Americanized by adding 20 minutes of a white guy who's in a hospital or something like that. But anyways, as Japan prepares for the sweeping the box office holidays, hey, they got the Studio Ghibli film coming out next week. There's a lot of hype behind it. We are retelling of the iconic Godzilla movies set in post-war Japan. The story follows survivors as they struggle to get away from a force beyond anything they can control. The Studio Ghibli film coming out this week later, Hayao Miyazaki, the man, the animator, the one who will direct more animated films, because, come on, he's not going to finish after this one. We should probably talk about Godzilla. Big monster attacks Japan, and Japanese rise up to fight against the monster, probably wins, but the monster doesn't die. Boom, Godzilla 101. If you haven't seen a Godzilla movie, that's exactly how it works out. The shift, when you run out of using the title night shift or day shift, we'll simply drop shift on purpose of creating a dead-end job that protects something important. Adventure, watch as a film about a guy who must escape from a dystopian job, which is basically slavery with too many steps and guidelines like Amazon warehouse work. This movie stars a guy who keeps trying to be the villain of everyone's story, and other guy is a blank slate of an actor helped by Sean Astin's character, who seems like they'll be having the funny fat friend who helps them along the way. Hey, funny fat friends unite. Then we got one of those kind of Taylor Swift type movies where it's like it's a concert / movie. This is Renaissance, a film by Beyonce. If you like Taylor Swift type of concert film, then we have then this one's for people who like Beyonce. Enjoy a cheaper movie to show that you cannot afford to actually go to these concerts because they're ridiculously priced, and there's online ticket sales have convenience fees that are a little less convenient these days. Yeah, so enjoy a Renaissance, which frankly would be an eccentric term only Queen Bey should be allowed to use. Finally, we got some holiday movies coming out this way. So if you like the movie The Shift, Holiday Twist basically stars a lot of the same characters. It was supposed to be the perfect holiday, but there's a twist. A holiday twist is the holiday movie in which Softway is saying it's just Christmas. This movie has a lot of people from The Shift, the dystopian movie starring the villain, and the funny fat friend Sean Astin. And now I'm coughing. Silent Night. hey, every time there's like a Christmas time, there always has to be something that's kind of gritty, horror, or something that's like, wait a minute, that's not Christmas. Silent Night is a movie that's anything that during the holidays, a man gets revenge on a crime syndicate that killed his wife last Christmas, and now he's the one-man army to get revenge. And then finally, we're going to wrap things up with a ugh. I probably should just stop right now because I'm literally dying. Animal Crossing Christmas Festival, the movie. This one's a stretch, even for me. Nintendo gets a little desperate to get people to play Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Zero Dawn, Forbidden West. This follows a new member of an anamorphic community in Animal Crossing. Apparently, the kid is supposed to be 14 years old, who kind of goes out to live on his own and basically has a mortgage. Hey, I'm not shaking it. I would love to have a mortgage at 14. It's way better than having a mortgage at 30. So anyways, this might be a fan film. Not sure but definitely got a bump from Internet Movie Database paid subscription. Hell, I'm even on there for some reason, some small projects that came out of MCAT. It just means it's not hard to get on IMDb. So before I cough myself to death, I'm going to show dub and stuff from House of Secrets, the 1936 film.
Hey, did you hear the one about me walking through the door? Not since you put WD-40 on the door hinges. I heard you were in the newspaper. Huh, must have been a slow news day. Could you take your feet off the table, please? Hey, come on now. I'm just trying to relax and read the paper. Oh, it says here that you voted no for safe baby formula, so what do you have to say about that? Well, it is an editorial, so I wouldn't put much stock into that story. Well, it's in the newspaper, so it must be true, isn't it? Oh, ye of little faith. Think about it. Let me take a look. Nope, not a single original thought. I wanted to change the subject, so I want to tuck my receding hairline. What's the bell, boy, without the bell? Let's do this again. What's the bell, boy, without the bell? What's up the bell, boy,
Will you
without
stop
the bell?
rapping over
What's
there?
the bell, boy,
Hey,
without the...
hey, I'm talking to you. What are you doing over there?
Well, yeah, you know,
Get out of here. While you were studying the bell, I was studying to get a real job.
Like I said before, the newspaper is spreading disinformation about me. You believe it, don't you? No, not a chance. I don't believe anything. Oh, come on, don't give me the third degree. Ugh, well, like I said before, what's in the newspaper can't be ignored. Oh, great, a perfect distraction. I'll go get it. Oh, hey, how's it going?
Well, I'm still old. That's all I got to say about that.
Oh, yeah, great. Good luck with that. So yeah, I just got this letter. What do you get that letter for? Oh, no, that's my time to talk. Congratulations. We regret to inform you that you will not be accepted into this year's hot dog eating contest. Oh, I don't get what the congratulations is for. What is this? I don't really get this. They said congratulations, and yet they told me no. They rejected me, so that's weird. That's very confusing. Oh, yeah, and the worst part is that they got you this piece of paper that is kind of ripped apart, has a partial message, and it's to my Sonny, A-T-T, something like that. I don't know. What can you just... isn't it obvious? It's a love letter. Because it's clearly a last will and testament. I can expect my money to start rolling in now. I think you got this confused because this looks like a bill. Well, to the untrained eye, sure, but it kind of reads, congratulations, you owe us money. That's kind of what I'm seeing from this. Oh, God, these people are really confusing. Well, congratulations on whatever that is. Oh, well, thank you. You obviously don't understand context of that. What, you're trying to tell me that this letter's trying to convey sarcasm? Oh, now you're starting to get it. Oh, then why do I still feel good? Well, probably mixed messaging. See you later.
Hey guys, we're back. We're going to talk about some things happening in downtown Missoula. It is the first Friday of the month, and there's a lot of art shows happening this weekend, and I have your art guide for you guys starting right now. Spirit and Beauty Art Show. This is at Burnswick Gallery. First Friday art show is called Spirit and Beauty, featuring jewelry by Carla Basinger and paintings by Susie Weishart at the Burnswick Gallery. And this is happening starting at 4 o'clock. Most of these events are from 5 to 8 p.m. respectively, with other additional stuff, but those are kind of like the happy hour for art galleries in the downtown Missoula area. Then we have reception for a holiday sale and exhibition. This is the Clay Studio of Missoula. They're featuring works from Clay Studio residents, members, and students. Their December sale is just the place to take care of your holiday shopping, whether you are looking for a new mug for your morning coffee or a vase for a bouquet of flowers, fun earrings, or sculptures to decorate your home. The Clay Studio will be offering a variety of exceptional ceramic arts. The array of works available during their special exhibit provides the opportunity to find a unique gift for the art lovers in your holiday gift list, including yourself. And so this is a great way for people who are actually learning to use and build their own clay cups and all that kind of stuff to basically hustle and sell their own stuff. It is a great opportunity for that as well. And you get to, pick and choose. If you don't want it, you don't have to buy it. But at the same time, it's always nice to kind of see something that's locally made. For Festive First Friday, Missoula Art Museum joined the Missoula Art Museum to celebrate their first Friday. They're featuring a Maggie McDonald and a no-host bar. They'll learn about the MAM's current exhibition during a free guided tour starting at 6 p.m. Dinner and a show, MAM style. Exciting artwork by local and nationally known artists will spark your curiosity. See a funky army of ducks, intriguing beadwork, and unique views on Montana life in the Anaconda Smelter to the Highline. Madeline's Mediterranean food truck will be parked in the front of the MAM, so you can enjoy a kebab or a falafel sandwich. Then we have solstice, because hey, winter solstice is coming up. Don't ask me when, because I didn't look it up before I started. A group of exhibit featuring over 100 works of artworks by local artists and regional artists hosted at the Confluence Center. Just in time for the holiday, Solstice will feature a wide range of artistic styles and mediums and many smaller affordable works perfect for gift giving. And this is going to be on 119 West Main Street. Then we got the pop-up art show, which is at the Paws Up People and Culture Center, and not to be confused with the Paws Up Ranch. This is the Culture Center, which is at 601 South 3rd Street West in Missoula. Join the Paws Up People and Culture Center for an exciting event at the Missoula local. Jill Logan, inspired by landscapes that shape her upbringing, she has channeled her creativity into crafting beautiful, interactive, and unique pieces of art. Often she includes beautiful song lyrics on the aspen tree bark she paints. And you can come meet Jill from 5 to 7 p.m. tonight. Then we got Glass Wonderland. Lisa Tate is a nationally recognized glass artist specializing in blowing glass using multiple layers of color, then cutting through each layer to reveal a design. Her work is collected throughout the United States and the Middle East and is currently in 2 permanent museum collections. This rare form of glass combines 3 major disciplines: glass blowing, designing, and engraving, and the show runs until the end of January. And then this is a cup show. They have International Cup Show at the Clay Studio Missoula, but Wildfire Ceramic Studio is doing a 3rd annual 406 Cup Show. 406 amazing handmade cups from artists around the country. This Friday, December 1st from 5 to 9 p.m. This is a great opportunity to not only see the jaw-dropping array of ceramic cups, but also find the perfect gift for your ceramic-loving friends and family. There's a wide variety of shapes, sizes, styles, and prices, something for everyone. Wrapping things up, well, I don't know why I said that so soon, but Throw Ceramics First Friday. This is festive ornaments. So not only do you get a look at art and sculptures and all sorts of clay designs, but you get to make your own ornament. Your maximum cap is 4 ornaments, which, that's pretty good. All tools and clay will be provided, as well as light refreshments. Bring good attitude and clothes that can get a little messy. First Friday, there'll be a brisk fire, glaze fire that will work for you, and it'll be ready for pickup before December 15th. So, you design it, you put it in, and then you just come back after by December 15th, and you can pick it up. So, let's see. Journeys of the Heart. This is Gallery 709 in the Montana Art and Framing. Journey to the Heart, Sticks, Stones, Paper Cloth, and Bones. This is December 1st to the 20th. Artist reception is tonight. Melissa Arnold, Linda Helping, Katrina Rumlin, and Bonnie Tarses will be present to sell their works in mixed media sculptures, beading, collage, and weaving. They're also displaying many other artists at their location, which is located at 709 Ronan Street. This is kind of off the beaten path in terms of your downtown art collective, but it's a nice venue all the same. And it's located off just like literally across from the railroad if you go down Ronan Street like you're going towards Midtown. And then finally, this is the actual finally, Donald Lacutia. Sorry, I'm totally butchering the name. I've never heard the name. So Donal is a Missoula-based photographer who spends most of his time documenting music and art in Montana. His artwork will be on display at Imagination Brewing Company, which concerns alternative underground spaces, youth culture, and do-it-yourself music scene in Missoula for the last 6 years or so. Art can happen anywhere. Come a little closer is the name of this collection of images and musicians, artists, and crowds in Missoula and Montana. Missoula's underground music scene has been a lifeline for communities across hundreds of miles. These images are selections and representations of energy of this community, people feeling pure joy, let loose, never stop partying, and come a little closer together. And there you go. There's your first Friday events and all sorts of other things happening as well. I don't have any videos for you guys, so we're going to jump right into some of the events that are happening within the city of Missoula. So let's transition back into the basic events. So if you're interested in going to the Lifelong Learning Center, they have many other programs. This program this morning is Learning Excel. So Excel is a nice spreadsheet for business and learning that kind of stuff. If you're looking to start a business, Excel is a great opportunity to do that. Lifelong Learning Center is a certified school for kind of like night school for people who want to get certified in multiple different kind of arrays, and also gives opportunities for people who have a certain knowledge base to teach others how to do some stuff as well. And also gets a way for teachers to get more accreditation, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of benefits for the Lifelong Learning Center. It's a kind of like a adult education co-op. Then we got bird watching. If you like bird watching, now is the time to do it. You've probably seen some geese flying around Missoula. Missoula County is home to over 200 bird species, from migrating waterfowl, raptors, and warblers in the spring to flocks of red crossbills and breeding owls in the winter. Each season is fun and exciting to birds, and so they're going to meet at Montana Natural History Center starting at 9 a.m. Dress warm. And they're going to go until about 11:30. And so this club will meet twice a month, every month. All experienced lovers are welcome, and binoculars are available to borrow. And this is like $25 or $20 for if you're a member of the Montana Natural History Center. Spirits of Giving, Missoula Public Library. You know, remember those who need. There's going to be giving trees and toiletries. Grab a tag from the giving tree to provide needed resource for local organizations to help us adorn our toiletries with travel-sized toiletries and benefits from local shelters. Thanks to Missoula Public Library Yarns Group for creating washcloths and toiletry kits. Find the Elf on the Shelf. Also, Missoula Public Library is doing the Elf on the Shelf program. So kids are encouraged to look for the elf that's on a shelf. All right, family, and that's basically going to be going on all holiday long, starting at 9 a.m. today. Family History Writing Contest. So you have until March 1st. This is part of an open-end writing contest through the Missoula Public Library as well. I just want to give you a shout out. So if you want to write about your family's history, they're doing a writing contest, and they're going to, and you have until March 1st to submit it to Missoula Public Library, ask a library staff member, and more for more information about that. And then, like always, every Friday at 10:30 a.m., Storytime and Tiny Tales is a great way for kids to get engaged with reading and enjoy the love of books. Yarns and Watercolor are often happening on the 4th floor of the Missoula Public Library starting at 12 noon. Snowflake Challenge at Washington Children's Shelter. This is going to be at Draftworks Brewing Company, and they're going to be helping the Washington Children's Shelter help raise money starting at noon today. And then the Montana Natural History Center is doing a holiday bazaar and online auction starting from 5 to 9 p.m. They got a lot of stuff going on at the Montana Natural History Center. They got the bazaar going on through the weekend as well during the afternoon. And so this is a great opportunity for people to buy and help basically support the Montana Natural History Center. Dr. Fly is going to be playing electronic music at Imagination Brewing Company on tonight at 6 p.m. Cranky Sam is hosting Blue Point at 7 p.m. And their blues. Wolf and the Moons are going to be at the Old Post starting at 7 p.m. Featuring folk music. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, MCT is doing their play for the next couple weeks. This is your chance to revisit Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's journey in the form of a play hosted by Missoula Community Theater. It's 90 minutes, which include an intermission. You'll have time for more holiday fun before the long winter's nap. Bear Bay Dance presents the night before. This is a weekend. This is a big event that they're doing through the Bear Bay Dance. Is back with a brand new winter show celebrating the holiday season with choreography by Bear Bay Dance director Joy French, a little mixture of Mary Jingle and Duke Ellington's Nutcracker. And yeah, they'll have a fun time. This is going to be at Westside Theater. They've been basically there for quite some time. I saw a Canadian Japanese drum group. It was really good. Dance Up Close. Masquer Theater is going to be doing their kind of the end of the year big shows for a lot of the students who took a lot of their dance and theater classes. And so Dancing Close is original works of emerging and established dance artists in an intimate setting and gives development designers the opportunity to collaborate with those dancers. Starting at 7:30 p.m. at the Masquer Theater tonight. Union Club is hosting John Rancher band is going to be at Union Club, but yeah, Josh Farmer is going to be at Union Club. It's starting at 9 p.m. tonight. Badlander is going to wrap up some hip hop, and Top Hat's going to be doing some bluegrass with Ben Larson and the Grown Ass Men. I can say it because it's written right here, right? All right, okay. Starting on your Saturday morning, Missoula Folklore Society Contra Dance at the Elks Lodge at 8 a.m. I believe they do this usually at 8 p.m. They might have mislabeled it, so you probably want to look this up as well. So it's $5 for members, $10 for non-members. Under 18 high school students are free. Electronic payments are available, blah, blah, blah. And these are workshops to do Contra Dance, which is old folk kind of dancing as well. So Lolo PTSA Craft Show. So Saturday, all the craft shows are happening. Lolo School is doing a craft show starting at 9 a.m. Big Sky High School is doing a craft show starting at 9 a.m. Southgate Mall is doing the Winter Valley Market, which is ongoing every Saturday. Bonner Christmas Bazaar at Bonner School at 9 a.m. Then we got Scandinavian Market, which is at the Sons of Norway, which is located 5795 Highway 93. Most of the stuff is on MissoulaEvents.net, but these are just kind of like the cliff notes that I've noticed. But a lot of markets, a lot of stuff happening as well. There's Holiday on Higgins, which is the big part where they're going to be doing like the, this is what they used to call the Parade of Lights and the Holiday of Lights, but this is called Holiday on Higgins, which basically where they have like a kind of like a bazaar, a lot of different things happening to occur for the 21st year in downtown Missoula for a day of holiday cheer featuring an array of children's activities, including Visit from Santa. They basically shut down the streets, have all this kind of stuff happening all night long, and this is going to be, and also Santa Claus will be at the Missoula Public Library from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. before they'll mosey on down there for the lighting of the tree. They usually do that around 6:30, just as the just as night comes so soon around that time. Frostbite Festival and Holiday Bazaar. Swan Valley School is doing it at 10 a.m. So Swan Valley High School, Swan Valley, which I believe is, why am I thinking off the cuff right now? So it's, God, I completely forgot the name of it. Swan Valley, darn. Anyway, Swan Valley School, look it up. I'm sorry, I can't. I got a brain for it. But Frostbite Festival and Holiday Bazaar starting at 10 a.m. We also have a Workroom Montana Holiday Stay. This is part of Workroom Montana, which I've never heard of, and they're located at 3205 South Russell Street. Wreath making class, Lolo Pass Visitor Center. This is over just a little bit past Lolo, starting at 10 a.m. It's a wreath making class. Missoula Art Museum is doing a museum tour starting at 11 a.m. They also have Teen Open Studio for teens who are interested in art and want some access to supplies to the MAM. And this starts at 12 noon. Every Saturday as well. It is a drop-in. So speaking of drop-in, MCAT also does our MCAT Saturday drop-ins every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. I don't think we're going to be taking a break at all this year just because holidays just don't line up on the Saturday. So I think we're going to be pushing through through the holidays, even through our Winter Days Camp, which is happening from the 27th to the 29th. It is a great opportunity for kids to get involved with stop animation, movie making, that kind of stuff. And then plus it's a fun camp, and it's kind of like the lull of the winter time, and there's not many places where kids can go out and have fun, which speaking of, YMCA, Mismo Gymnastics, Roots Decker Sports Center is a great indoor activities facility for a lot of kids and families that want to stay active while at the same time not have to be exposed to the elements. Missoula Public Library is doing a holiday music performance hosted by the Hellgate Middle School String Orchestra, which will add to the day's festive cheer by sharing some of their favorite holiday tunes. Solid Snake Karaoke at West End Lanes and Fun Center at 9 p.m. Oh, wow, so I'm jumping right into the late night stuff. And then Chris Moon every Saturday at 10 p.m. at the Badlander. I might have to look up MissoulaEvents.net just real quick just to make sure. Just bear with me. I want to make sure I'm getting this Saturday because I kind of just petered off after a little bit. So let's jump right over to Saturday. Come on, stop loading. Keeps on reloading. Nope, pop up. Okay, just. So Imagination Brewing Company is hosting a rock concert with Smith and McKay all day, and it starts at 6 p.m. Saturday night at 6 p.m. Cosmic Sands at Free Cycles is going to be featuring some rock music at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Russ Nesset and the Revelators is going to be in the Jack Saloon at 7 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like I said, MCT is going to be all weekend, Thursday through Sundays with matinees on the weekend. Let's see. Bear Bay Dance is doing also Saturday, and also Dance Up Close will be Saturday at the University of Montana and Westside Theaters, all about dancing and contemporary dance and stuff like that. The Folklore Society Contra Dance, like I said, is at 8 p.m. I talked a little bit about it. They might have just misprinted the AM and PM, which I'm pretty sure they did. Kyle Curtis and the Promised Land is going to be at the Union Club at 9 p.m. And then live music by Muddy Creek Band. It's going to be some country music at Sunrise Saloon on Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Most of this stuff you can look up at MissoulaEvents.net. And then some Sundays I like to talk about, glass recycling and a drop-off event. If you have any glass that you want to recycle, Imagination Brewing Company does this every quarter just to kind of encourage people to recycle their glass. Workroom Montana is doing their continued holiday sale through the weekend. Mary Little Market, the historic Florence building, is doing a Sunday market at 1 p.m. And then Workshop Expressive Eyes with Matthew O'Reilly is going to be at the Clay Studio of Missoula on Sunday. And so those are some of your events that are going on as well. All right, so there's not much I want to talk about in terms of news, but it was brought to my attention that during the Grizz Cat game, the University of Montana Marching Band was told not to play. And it was kind of like the 11th hour, which by that time was roughly about 1:30 a.m. In the middle of night, where the athletics department sent a late night email to Dr. Kevin Griggs the morning before the game, mind you, to request the University of Montana take their seats during the halftime show. Griggs wrote to the person responsible for the decision, Nick Hollisey, Associate Athletic Director, and they did not contest many of the details of the letter, including that UM Athletics didn't inform Griggs of the change until the night before the game. However, the disputed Griggs allegation alleged that the marching band wouldn't be allowed to play the fight song after each touchdown, saying that the band did in fact play the fight song after each touchdown. An extra point, only the final touchdown was altered. He also disputed Cotton Eye Joe was the song that did play. It was very interesting, since this was one of the biggest games in Northwest college football, just to have this last minute communication kind of throw things. And it's unclear the real reason this occurred, besides the whole concept of, why bother? There's just like a why bother attitude that seems to be kind of happening in a lot of places in a post-COVID kind of world. So anyways, I'm sorry. I used to play in the marching band, and I feel like this administration kind of keeps letting the students down and changing things without proper notification. Communication, come on, folks. It was nice to take some time off next week. Montana, we might be dealing with some super pigs, y'all. Our big news, happening potential threat in the northern United States almost a year ago today. I did report a little bit about this. This is a little wild boar was found dead in northern parts of Montana, which folks are worried about the damage which boars can do to the land. It's horrible on farmlands. These media-named super pigs apparently breed faster, are smaller, and have the same capability to ruin farmland in high numbers. They can spread devastating disease to hog farms like African swine fever. A sow can have at least 6 piglets and a litter and raise 2 litters in a year. And just so you guys know, we don't have that. We don't have a bad pig problem because Texas has the bad wild boar problem, which causes usually $2.5 billion in damage to U.S. crops every year, and that's just in Texas. Mostly southern states like Texas, and they can be very aggressive towards human. A woman in Texas was killed by wild pigs in 2019. Like the hippos of Africa, they are very territorial and will attack people. And right now, their population in Canada has estimated at 62,000 wild pigs. And pigs' anatomy is kind of crazy. Have you heard of the concept of a stealth gene? The stealth gene is basically like you have a little pink little pig, and it just kind of does this thing, and then it wanders off into the forest and it manages to survive, and the stealth gene kicks in. They grow tusks, they get all the fur, and they're just like, how do they basically become prehistoric within a small amount of time? It is just wild. And so far, the invasive species of pig is being managed. And also North Dakota has a kill on site order, but a lot of this kind of extermination is you got to report them, because as soon as you just start scaring them away, they get scared away and they breed faster. There's a lot of issues with coyotes in California and all that kind of stuff. And you got to be a little bit smarter, because their breeding ability is adaptable to the extreme. It's kind of crazy, but So speaking of Montana, going back into the University of Montana, wastewater is a big infrastructure that they're trying to accommodate high traffic times during football games. Let's just say the Grizz-Cat game put the grid to the test, and this week the city of Missoula went on an underground tour of the Washington Grizzlies Stadium to talk about the flow of waste coming out of the university. The pumps weren't pumping the amount of wastewater they should have been, said Andy Schultz, an engineer for the city of Missoula. I don't know why I did a voice, but he also was quoted saying, "We had people on call monitoring the situation during games in case anything went wrong." And so far, the university pumps an average of 100 gallons per minute when the game day happens, which is triple the usage. They did patchwork in 2020, but it's 2020 where no one could really gather. But the overall impacts of this story begins and ends with the infrastructures that the city of Missoula, which hasn't seen any major investment into the water system since post-World War II era, and everything else was replaced when necessary. And that's also kind of jumps on another story that I kind of been hearing about, and Biden administration is basically putting a kibosh on lead pipes, in which they're trying to kind of wean out and try to have basically use government to kind of strong arm people into replacing some of the old failing infrastructures, and it's going to cost money regardless. It's just the way it is sometimes. But it's interesting to just kind of help with all this infrastructure and stuff like that. And this story actually that's coming up right now has nothing to do with wastewater, but it's something that I find extremely interesting. So this is an artificial intelligent chemist. So let me say that again. So imagine like a doctor or chemist who goes to school for this. So they made an artificial intelligent with the sum total mind of like all chemists and all the things that were calculated. And with more than 3.7 molecules, it could make from 6 different metallic elements in rocks. So imagine an AI computer basically solving how to have oxygen on the planet Mars based on the elements from the Mars rocks that were brought back. This term claims that the AI could create a formula to get oxygen with water on Mars, because water is made of hydrogen and oxygen. Scientists believe that with the temperature, because it has super cooling effect, that it does produce some form of water from these rocks and elements. In particular, compounds known as catalysts are capable of spurring chemical reactions that split water molecules to generate oxygen and hydrogen gas. So there's their science talk. The human researcher said if it was a human doing these same things, the computing would have taken 2,000 years to come up with this level of computing that was just achieved. So that's kind of giving you a scale of what's happening with that. And so with these tests, I think they did I think the number was 243 tests for this thing. I didn't add in my notes, but it was very interesting kind of how this is a potential moving forward with this. So. I didn't want to talk too much about the Israel-Hamas war, but we're going to kind of end on this just as, the ceasefire ended today. It was originally planned for a 2-day ceasefire for Friday, Saturday last week, and then it got extended for 7 days because Hamas was able to come up with about 10 hostages per day to extend those kind of extensions. And now with a lot of the bombing campaign that's happening in those targets, one of the big questions that kind of that haven't really been asked a lot of times is like, what is the safety of the hostages behind the enemy lines in which they're being bombed? And so that's one question that hasn't really been asked about. It's like a lot of people who support the end of Hamas, but at the same time, it's like, what about all the hostages? And that's one of the things I kind of want to leave you with as we're going into this weekend. Is like, I'm hearing a lot of like, Hamas is terrible. Hamas is using people as human shields. What is Israel doing? They're negotiating, but also they're bombing Hamas. So it's very kind of weird back and forth. It's like, how can you negotiate with someone that you're clearly like bombing and at war with? So it's a weird kind of situation. And they managed to have an extension for this amount of time, and there's a lot of hope for the ceasefire. But at this point, it kind of feels like this bombing campaign is going to continue, and more people are going to die. It's kind of weird. Just overall how it's kind of shaking out. So there you go. I'm going to end on a kind of a bummer note, but I hope you guys have a good weekend. There's a lot of great craft fair and stuff like that you guys can go and enjoy. And for Wake Up Missoula, I'm Scott Ramp. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.